Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea, and this is our, okay, here we go. Avengers Infinity War spoiler discussion part 4. Now, we did a couple of live ones with tons of questions we never had time to get around to, despite the fact that the first 2 parts was almost 5 hours long. So we are now going through all the questions as fast as we can to get as many of these out there as we can. We did part 3 the other day, and now we are on part 4. Joining me today, as he did in the last one, is Jonathan Voytok, fact checker Jonathan. Jonathan, how you doing?
Hello, everybody. I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm great, and we're ready to get things started today. So, Jonathan, start us off.
Great. All right. Tila Boston says, do you think that Thanos will actually be the one to undo things? He seemed to be regretting his actions at the end, especially with little Gamora.
To me, he wasn't regretting his decision. To me, I think he was feeling the weight of the decision, but I never saw any regret, especially in that final shot when he's sitting, you know, overlooking the hills and the sunrise, and he gets that self-satisfied smile on his face. I don't think there was any regret there. The weight of it, yes. Realizing how big of a price he had to pay, yes. But regret that he paid it? I didn't get any of that. Could he be the one that undoes it? I don't think so. I mean, it's possible. It's certainly possible. I would kind of guess not at this point. We'll have to wait and see, but I'll guess no. All right, what's next?
All right, Laurie Scott says, half the Asgardians lived because the ship was broken in half when we first saw it, so the ones who weren't on Thor's half survived.
I mean, that's really kind of the way we have to think about it, right? Because everybody who was on that ship was dead. And then just to put an exclamation point on it, Thanos blew up the ship. So anybody who was still left there, like only Thor could survive in the vacuum of space. So that means before the movie started, the other half had to get away. Maybe that's the other half of the ship. Maybe there's a story there that we're going to see in a future movie that half of Asgard gets away. And then maybe that half of Asgard that gets away will play a role in Avengers 4. Maybe, maybe not. We'll have to see, but it's a good theory. All right, what's next?
All right, Phil D asks, could the next Spidey Black Panther films be set before Infinity War, i.e. they really died in Infinity War?
I mean, look, again, we kind of touched on this on the last video as well. It's possible, but it would seem desperate because that would make 4 films in a row that they all set before the events of Infinity War. And that's just too much. I mean, it also kind of undermines what it is they're doing. So could they? Sure. Should they? No, they shouldn't. Besides, the fact that if you really do kill him, you just got Spider-Man there. You just had this big Black Panther thing. And I don't think going back before, because again, then you doing a Spider-Man thing that happens before Infinity War, well, you know he doesn't die because he's in Infinity War. Do Black Panther thing. Don't worry about anything happening to Black Panther or Shuri or M'Baku or Okoye or any of those people because you saw them all in Infinity War. So, I mean, it's a card they could play, but they're already playing that card with Ant-Man. And they're playing that card with Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel's a little bit different because it's so far in the past, but it's something they can do. I just don't think they should, and I don't think they will. All right, what's next?
All right, Ian McEwen writes, Thanos could have killed Mantis and Drax, but just incapacitated them. He won't kill when he doesn't have to, which makes him really interesting.
I don't know that I'd say he won't kill when he doesn't have to. He didn't have to kill Heimdall. He was just mad. He was just mad. That was a mistake. Drive a spear through you. So no, I'm not buying into the theory that he doesn't kill and he didn't have to. Yeah, he could have killed Drax and he could have killed Mantis, but I don't think he saw them as a threat, and I think he was just doing a demonstration of power for Gamora. But then again, I don't think he just wantonly walks around going, I'm just going to kill people for the hell of it. I don't think he does that either, but I also don't buy into the theory that he only kills when he has to. I think the Heimdall example kind of shows that. All right, what's next?
Okay, Haskell420 asks, John, did you read the original Infinity Gauntlet comic series? There were a lot of straight-off-the-comic panel shots like Banner landing in the Sanctum a la Silver Surfer, Thanos at the end, and others.
There was a lot of stuff like that. I still will fall short. Like somebody brought up the other day and said, wow, like the movie stays so true to the events of the comic. It's like, well, I mean, maybe compared to other comic book movies they do, still not all that much. I mean, big major thing there. It's not Silver Surfer, it's Hulk. They do absolutely do some specific frame shots that absolutely do come out of the series. Yes, they do. I still would fall short of saying, man, that stuck really close to the original source material. It does, and it's not supposed to. They're supposed to make the best movie possible, not stick as close as they can to the comics. But if you can do both at the same time, great. And yeah, you could see glimpses of that in the movie for sure. All right, what's next?
All right, Free One Up writes, when Thanos was stomping everyone at the end with 5 stones and his fist raised, it reminded me of Darth Vader slaughtering the rebels in Rogue One.
Oh my gosh, it did kind of a little bit, didn't it? But I mean, I think the difference between the Vader and Rogue One thing and when Thanos gets the glove is that there's still resistance he's facing when he's doing that. Like, still like, well, when he's got the 5, like before he gets the 6, like Scarlet Witch is able to hold him off for a bit. Cap was able to hold him off for a bit. I mean, nobody could really do anything significant to Thanos, but they were able to do something. When Vader was coming at the rebels, he just tore through them like tissue paper. Like they weren't even an afterthought to him. So it's a little bit different, but you're right. It is a little bit reminiscent of that Vader shot. All right, what's next?
Okay, Luna Comics writes, what if Thanos killed Hawkeye's family from the big snap and Hawkeye will seek revenge and give him a moment to shine in Avengers 4?
That's certainly possible. I mean, the thing is this, with half the world's population being wiped out, I don't know that any of the heroes need more motivation. I mean, Hawkeye would do whatever to save one school bus of children. Hawkeye would do whatever he needed to do to save a school bus of children. Half the world's children gone, half the world's men and women gone, just like that. I think if there's some kind of way, some kind of plan to undo that, whether or not his family gets dusted, I think he's getting involved. Odds are, if he's got kids and a wife, at least one of his family got dusted. I mean, that's just the odds. Maybe a couple of them, maybe all of them. Not really sure at this point. But I just don't know that he needs any more motivation to get him involved in the fight. I think half the population dying would be getting him involved in the fight. But hey, we'll see how many of his family actually got killed. All right, what's next?
All right, Koba says, I have just got to say it. How many of these so-called deaths are going to last? Marvel, fake killing again.
And you know, some people are trying to give me a hard time about, John, come on, it's not all that bad. I mean, if you don't like fake killing, you shouldn't watch comic book movies. Well, and I said, look, it's one thing for a franchise. And I love the MCU. Everybody knows I love the MCU, but I got to call it as I see it. It's one thing for a franchise to pull the fake kill card once in a while. That's fine. Marvel has been criticized, rightly so, that they have continuously gone back to that well almost every movie. Oh, Captain America's going to drown in the river. No, wait, he's fine. Oh, Thor died and he's dead. No, wait, he's fine. Oh, Thor's died and he's dead. Oh, Nick Fury's died and he's dead. No, I mean, they've done that so many times that going into Infinity War, I was like, okay, look, you don't need to kill any of these characters. If you do, fine. If you don't, that's fine. But if you do, then kill them. Don't pull the fast one anymore. It's like, oh, because here's what's going to happen. And this is something that Marvel is really, really at risk of losing. That big emotional moment in the movie when Peter dies, the biggest reaction was from the people that didn't already realize there was another Spider-Man movie coming. Everybody who knew there's a Spider-Man movie coming, it's still a great scene. It's still a great scene. I liked it very much. But that real punch you in the gut devastation of, oh my God, Spider-Man's dead. No, that wasn't there for me. Why? Because I knew he was coming back. And if they pull that card again with a significant number of the characters in this, then what they run the risk of is moving forward in any MCU movie moving forward, no emotional impact when any character dies. No emotional impact. Because we don't believe you. To me, characters dying in the MCU is basically becoming likened unto, oh no, our hero stubbed his toe. A hero dying in any of these movies is no more significant than a hero stubbing his toe. It's just a minor pain and inconvenience because you know they're coming back. And that is a problem. That is a problem. So if they bring back all the dusted characters, which we're assuming they are, they're going to bring back all the dusted characters. But if they bring back Loki again, or Gamora, or Vision, on top of all the characters that were dusted, then moving forward, I am never going to feel anything in an MCU movie when a character dies because it's irrelevant if they die. It's only momentary. It's like a stubbed toe. So, I mean, yeah, it is unfortunate because like I said, all I was asked for going into Infinity War, fine. I'm cool if nobody dies. I'm cool with that. Just don't fake kill a ton of people, and we'll just have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see. All right, what's next?
All right. Jonathan Blaza writes, but John and Ann, Thanos did have hair. I watched it for the second time earlier today. Look closely at Thanos' chin.
Oh, I think you missed one.
Frost, 1977. Lots of fake deaths in this one. Who stays dead? Then my screen went black. Iron Spider equals life support for space part. Or part of me was expecting this. You okay with how they used it?
No, because I felt like they just wrote that in there as an excuse for having him be Iron Man Jr. Like, you could have had him grabbing onto that ship and found a way into the ship. There, done. But no, they wanted to justify him having the Iron Spider suit. So no, I'm not cool with that. I love the character, love Spider-Man in the movie, all that kind of stuff. Still not cool with the fact that they used the Iron Spider stuff. All right, now what's Jonathan Blas has to say?
But John and Ann, Thanos did have hair. I watched it for the second time earlier today. Look closely at Thanos' chin next time when Thor cuts his chest in the end. Thanos has stubble. Apparently he shaves.
You know what? I didn't even think to look for that. So in the nutsack chin, he's got stubble. Okay, I will look for that. I didn't see that before. What kind of, it's always the same question like with Superman, right? What kind of razor does Superman shave with? Because he's invulnerable. So what does Thanos shave with? Exactly. Like, will he have to get Stormbreaker from Thor just to cut the stubble on his chin? I'm not sure. Interesting observation, though. I'll look for that the next time I see it. All right, what's next?
All right. Dirk Walker writes, what if everyone who died by the finger snap are actually existing in a separate parallel universe, and from their perspective, everyone else disappeared? Homecoming 2 takes place in this universe.
Well, then it completely goes against and undermines what we know about Thanos. Thanos didn't go around from planet to planet trapping people in an alternative universe. Thanos went around from planet to planet like on Gamora's, and he just slaughtered them. He slaughtered them. So what he did to the Asgardians on the ship, it's what he does. He goes around and he slaughters. His mission was not to go around and take half the people in the universe and put them in an alternate dimension. His mission was to go around and wipe them out. It brings balance to the universe. So, and again, other people have kind of like, what if they're all in the Soul Stone? What if they're this? It's possible. That's possible. To me, it's a giant cop-out and really undermines the emotional impact of the end of the film. So how they're going to manage it, I'm not sure. One of the things why I'm not going to get too worked up about is because I trust Marvel. I trust they have a great plan. If their plan is all these people are just in an alternate universe, then I'm going to be disappointed because that's a big, big cop-out. Or in poker, we'll call it a suck-out. It's a big suck-out for them to do that. I hope that's not what they're doing, but you know what? I'm sure they've got a plan. All right, what's next?
All right. Brian Rogers says, loved Guardians portrayed as full-class heroes in their movies. Here they're portrayed far more comedic, laid-back, fun-time gang type. I love that.
Yeah, I mean, and it's the really cool thing, too, is that it's not, the two aren't mutually exclusive, right? When it's just them on their own, they're the fun-time gang. When the situation calls for it, they get dead serious. Like Drax, they're kind of using him a lot as comedic relief in many ways, but when it comes time to fight, he turns dead serious. Like he wants to go at Thanos. He wants to go kill Thanos, right? And I kind of like the way that they use him in that way. So I agree with you. All right, what's next?
All right. Jordan Fry writes, Peter Dinklage looked like a big baby Bucky.
Really? You think so? I didn't see. Did you see that at all?
No.
No, I didn't see.
I just kept thinking of his character from Game of Thrones and thinking, wow, he's like a giant version of that.
He's a giant Lannister there. Yeah. I didn't see it. I mean, if you did, you're seeing something I didn't see, and that's fine, but I didn't see you. All right, what's next?
Okay, Cobra writes, Thor Ragnarok. Thor doesn't need a hammer. Infinity War, powerful enough without it. Thor needs a hammer, weak without it.
No, I think like somebody else brought that up too the other day, and I think you're misinterpreting it. Remember, Thor in Ragnarok, without the hammer, he was not strong enough to beat his sister. He lost. He sucked out. I mean, with his fight, he played a trump card that had nothing to do with him going toe-to-toe with his sister. He didn't need his hammer to save his people. And so he's able to save his people, but he couldn't, with or without the hammer, he was not powerful enough to beat Hela. That's the bottom line. Like if in Thor Ragnarok, he was able to rise up without Mjolnir and beat Hela, then I can see your point. But he couldn't beat Hela. He was not strong enough to beat Hela without it. But he was strong enough to play that trickery card, to play the strategy of, getting the skull into the eternal flame and to get his people on a ship and get away from Hela. Well, so he was powerful enough to save his people. He was not powerful enough to beat Hela. Going into fight against Thanos, no, he's not. If he wasn't powerful enough without his hammer to beat Hela, he's certainly not powerful enough without that extra weapon to beat Thanos. To beat Thanos, he needed Stormbreaker. So I don't see that as any form of inconsistency between Ragnarok and Infinity War. All right, what's next?
Elam Rem writes, Thor can go to Valhalla where dead heroes go.
I don't know that they've ever suggested in the movie that he has the ability to just, while alive, travel to Valhalla. I don't think they've ever suggested that in the movies. So remember, the movies and the comics are two separate things. So I'm not sure that they've ever said that. So I don't know if that's true in the live action films. All right, what's next?
All right, Dirk Walker writes, if my parallel universe theory is true, explains why all the people disappeared and the old Avengers remained.
Well, remember, they didn't disappear. Their bodies became disintegrated. And it's not like they just vanished. No, they're like they were burned or whatever. Their remains of dust were still behind. They didn't just vanish into thin air. So, and remember, not all the original Avengers remained. Who started the Avengers? Nick Fury. He started the Avengers and he got dusted. Also, look at who else still remained. Rocket wasn't an original Avenger and he was still there, and others on top of that. So I'm not quite sure that lines up. Again, I'm not saying your theory is wrong. I'm just saying I wouldn't subscribe to that theory myself, but anything's possible. All right, what's next?
All right. KW Garrett 83 writes, over under 50% that the original Avengers have to sacrifice themselves in trade for the dead Avengers to escape the Soul World in Avengers 4.
I do not believe that straight up that's what happens. However, I wouldn't completely reject the notion that some form of that happens. Like straight up, they're just saying they find I don't know what way would exist. Like, are they going to find a magic 4-leaf clover that says, if you sacrifice yourself, your other friends come back to life? Like, I don't know what narrative sets that up. However, I'm not completely against the notion that the basic premise of an idea of a trading for a life, like that whole thing Captain America said, we don't trade lives. Well, maybe he gets offered that option again, that he can trade his life for somebody else. I'm not opposed to that principle coming into play. Straight up the way you're describing it, probably not. But the principle of it, possible. Possible. All right, what's next?
Kevin Campbell wants to know, who's the king and queen of Wakanda while T'Challa is dead?
That kind of came up the other day too. My working theory is that it is not, it's not Shuri. Because first of all, look, as great as Wakanda is, they got some backwards way of doing things. Really, your head of government is determined by hand-to-hand combat to the death? That's the way you determined the governance of the people. So Wakanda's great, but they got some backwards way of thinking. And I don't know that they've ever had a queen. Like, I don't know that they've ever had a female as their head of government. They may be a little patriarchal that way. Not to mention, Shuri, while she can hold off some people with her power weapons, she's not a hand-to-hand combat person like T'Challa is. My theory, and it's just a theory, it could be dead wrong. And plus, I don't think Shuri's interested in the crown. I think Shuri wants to be in her lab. Shuri is all about science. That's where she wants to be. My theory, and it could completely be wrong, is that M'Baku becomes king. M'Baku was the last legitimate guy to challenge for the throne. He and T'Challa became like brothers. He is already the head of the Jambari tribe. So if anything, my guess would be M'Baku. When we come back and see Wakanda next, my guess is M'Baku is going to be on the throne. Shuri is still the head of the development, the Wakandan research group, and she's still running everything that way, in charge of all the technology. So that's my guess. Could completely be way wrong, but I'm guessing M'Baku's the king. All right, what's next?
Okay, Technovine writes, Mabuhay, Ann and John, Star-Lord screwed up, right?
No, this has come up many times. He really, really didn't. Because most people would have done the same thing in his shoes. We've already given an example that Tony Stark has done the same thing when he found out that Winter Soldier killed his parents. Like rational thinking, oh, but it wasn't him. He was brainwashed. It wasn't his fault. Rational thought goes out the window. All he goes is, that's the guy who killed my parents, and he goes off. That's the human response. Plus, don't forget, Doctor Strange already looked at 14 million possible combinations of outcomes, and I'm sure Peter not punching Thanos in the face was one of those outcomes, and yet they get beaten in those outcomes anyway. So at the end of the day, it made no difference. There was only one possible outcome out of the 14 million that led to them winning, and whatever that outcome is, it involved Peter punching him in the face, Doctor Strange dying, Doctor Strange saying this was the only way. So ultimately, he's not the one who screwed it up. All right, what's next?
Well, this is a nice follow-up. Helen Maris writes, love that Strange saw they needed to lose in order to win. This is the only way. His reaction makes me think he saw some permanent deaths.
Of that, I have no doubt. I think he understood that there was sacrifice involved. I think he understood that there's no pure win in all this, that they're going to lose. Everybody loses. The question is, how bad do they lose? Can they still come out victorious at the end of the day, suffering heavy losses? But you're right. I think the way it transpired, Thanos getting the full glove, snapping his fingers, certain people being left alive, certain people dying, was the only way that at the end of the day they can win. How big of a price do they have to pay to win? We're going to have to wait and find that out to know for sure. All right, what's next?
All right, Cobra writes, sorry to say, but I'm personally not a fan. In my top 3 worst MCU.
And you know what? Hey, man, all film's subjective. And if you watched it and it really didn't work for you that much, I can see why. Again, it is overcrowded character-wise. A lot of the stuff does feel rushed. None of the characters are given really enough time other than Thanos himself. I get it. I mean, for me, it's still quite good. I love the film. It's not in my top 3 best, but I still quite love the film. But it's not going to work for everybody. And Koba, if it didn't work for you, man, it didn't work for you. And you don't need to apologize for that. All right, what's next?
Sebastian Lairda asks, has the MCU reached its peak? I mean, in a large epic scale?
They keep saying that every time a big new movie comes out. And they say, now MCU's reached its peak. Now comic book fatigue is going to set in. And now they've been saying that for years. So has it reached its peak? It's possible. Or maybe the crescendo is still yet to come. Maybe they haven't hit their best yet. I mean, that's a scary thought. Is that, what if a $257 million opening, all the chat and chatter going around about that, what if they haven't even hit their best yet? What if they still have yet better to come? It's going to be interesting to see. So I'm going to guess no, but who knows? It's possible. All right, what's next?
All right, Teomas Yusuf writes, Iron Spider costume looks stupid in some scenes.
Yeah, it looks stupid in some scenes, and that's fine. Look, I love the new show Black Lightning, and that costume looks stupid all the time. Like, there's never a moment that costume doesn't look dumb. But I still love the show. And yeah, there were some scenes at the Iron Spider thing. Look, my big problem with the Iron Spider outfit isn't the look of it. It can actually look very, very cool. I just don't like the principle behind it. But yeah, there were moments that the spider suit didn't look so good. But that's okay. I think there were moments Thor didn't look all that good too. So not a big deal to me. All right, what's next?
All right, Sebastian Lairda writes, knowing that not all the deaths will keep that way, it takes out the drama and grief of the movie, in my opinion. Amazing film anyway.
Amazing film anyway, yes. I think it's despite that fact. Because again, to me, I know a lot of those deaths did not hit me personally with the same oomph that it hit some people who didn't know, who don't stay connected to the movie news and don't know that there is indeed another Spider-Man movie coming after Avengers 4. I'm sure to those people, it hit them much more deeply and much harder. But being cursed with knowledge, as Thanos would say, it lost some of it. But even though it lost a bunch of the impact, it still worked. I mean, it's still great. But the more and more that they do fake deaths, more and more, that reaction is going to get thinner and thinner and thinner and thinner and thinner. And then you're going to have a scene in some Thor movie where, you know, I don't know, Abomination comes out, grabs Thor and chops his head off. And we'll just go, he'll be back in about 10 minutes. I mean, whether we're right or wrong, we'll just expect he'll be back in 10 minutes. Don't worry about it. It won't have any more emotional impact. They've got to tread very, very carefully here. And that's just my thought. Well, what's next?
All right. Dark Horizon 211 writes, could the whole scene in the trailer with Hulk, Captain, Black Panther, etc., is actually A4 since they filmed both 3 and 4 at the same time.
As a matter of fact, they did not film 3 and 4 at the same time. They filmed all of 3, did the reshoots for 3, blah, 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 wrapped the film, sent it off for post-production. Then they went off and began shooting 4. So they did not shoot them at the same time. So no, that's not a scene from part 3, or from part 4, I should say. All right, what's next?
All right, Kyle Coggins writes, Tony is still on Titan. No armor, no clue how to get back, just Nebula's company.
Well, you answered the question right there, didn't you? Nebula. Nebula, who can put her own body together with scrap parts. And she already got there with a ship. She crashed a ship, yeah, but she's got all the parts in the world there to put that ship back together again. So, yeah, to me, that was never even a fleeting question. As long as Nebula's there too, he's got a way to get home. He'll get home, no problem. And I believe Nebula's the reason and the way he's going to do it. All right, what's next?
All right. Rory Brown writes, hey, John, do you think Thanos just killed half the Asgardians as balancing the universe?
Well, I think wherever he goes, he then, like from what we hear from Gamora and from what we've seen and from what we heard from Ma as well, wherever he goes, it's just like, okay, I got to go pick up the milk. Right. While I'm there, I got to wipe out half the people in the 7-Eleven. That just seems to be his modus operandi, right? He goes to nowhere. Well, he went to nowhere and it looks like he wiped everybody out in nowhere. But it's just, I'm here, so might as well take care of business. And he wipes half the people out. It seems like it. So yeah, I think that's part of it. The Heimdall thing was different though. The Heimdall thing was, he was mad. He's like, that was a mistake. I'm going to kill you for it. Blah, I'm going to stab you. And then he blew up the ship anyway for good measure. So I'm sure that's part of it. All right, what's next?
All right. Kevin Campbell writes, Ant-Man 2 theory. It ends with Scott, Hope, and Janet coming out of the quantum realm and seeing Hank turn to dust.
The only reason I don't buy that is because I believe the quantum realm stuff is going to become, and again, I've got nothing to base this on, but I suspect, let me use that word, suspect, okay? I suspect to some degree that time travel is going to be involved in Avengers 4. They don't have the time stone. I think that's where the quantum realm really comes into play. Who is the world's foremost expert on the quantum realm? It's Hank Pym. So I think if any of them are getting dusted, it may be indeed Janet or Hope. Or, I mean, we've talked about how that's getting dark. Michael Douglas tries for so long to get his wife back, gets her back, and then she turns to dust in his arms. But I think they need Hank around. I think Hank is going to be around for Avengers 4 to be a part of a brain trust of Hank, Tony, Banner, Shuri, and to figure out a time travel scenario in which they can try to fix things. Because I don't think they're getting the time stone to do it. Again, that theory could be so far off, it's not even laughable. But that's kind of the theory I have right now and why I don't subscribe to that theory you're proposing right now. All right, what's next?
All right, Nicholas Acosta writes, I like that Star-Lord was very human in this film.
He was very human, not just in his regular frailties, but in temper and he broke. He finally found the love of his life in Gamora. She finally told him that she loved him. And then he finds out the dude killed her. And yeah, his response was very, very human. And again, to everybody who wants to blame of what happened in Infinity War after that on Star-Lord, remember, that's the way it had to be. There were no other, if he just sat there and didn't punch him in the face, that's one of the 14 million possibilities where Doctor Strange says we all lose. So it had to work out that way regardless. But you're right, he was very, very human in that. All right, what's next?
Okay, Matt Hendricks says, I'm curious, do you think Captain Marvel is the only new character showing up in Avengers 4? I think they will introduce the Fantastic Four finally.
Nope, they as of right now, they don't have the rights to the Fantastic Four, so they cannot use the Fantastic Four. The movie's shooting. The Fox and Marvel deal is not done and won't be done for at least another year, so no, we're not going to see the Fantastic Four there. All right, what's next?
Blake Bonecutter writes, the one outcome Strange saw them win involved Thanos using up the gauntlet. It's reversible. Dinkle Giant said that he was the only one who could make another glove, but Thor kind of used up the forge.
That's true as well. I'm not quite sure, what's the question here, though? Is him using up the gauntlet, it's reversible. I don't know that it's reversible, unless you were trying to say it's irreversible. I think the path to right things does not lay through the gauntlet. I don't think the gauntlet is going to be the solution to the problem that our heroes are going to face in Avengers 4. I think it still represents another level of the problem, not the solution. Again, I still think quantum realm stuff is going to be part of the solution rather than that. All right, what's next?
E-Hero Andrew writes, I cried as Spidey was dying.
Oh, man, look, I knew he was coming back. And I think I probably would have ended up in tears if it wasn't for the fact that I did know he was coming back. But there are a lot of people in the theaters, man, when I saw it, they're like, oh, like when they saw Peter was starting to turn to dust. Like just that, and when T'Challa started to turn to dust. Like there was like outright screeching, ah, no! Like when T'Challa started to die in one of the screenings I was in. So yeah, man, you're not alone. There was a lot of people had that kind of reaction. All right, what's next?
Okay. Andrew Hogue writes, Kenneth Branagh and opening score set the tone great.
Oh, that's right, because Kenneth Branagh, apparently, I don't know if this is 100% true, but I'm having a bunch of people telling me that, you know how the movie opens with the distress signal? Mm-hmm. That's Kenneth Branagh.
Oh.
That's the people are telling me that's Kenneth Branagh's little cameos, that he's actually doing the voice of the distress signal.
Oh, okay.
So I got to watch it again now. I was like, wait a minute, is that Kenneth Branagh?
There's so much of this movie where it's just like,
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But yeah, you're right. If that is, and the distress signal is a great way to start off the movie. It really was. All right, what's next?
All right. Haskell 420 writes, in a UK interview with Russo's, said once, the universe hears Thanos has the Gauntlet. Cosmic beings will come for him. Captain Marvel, we know. Maybe intro Nova, Quasar. End of the movie, Thanos will return.
Well, I mean, we've also seen the Russo brothers say other things that were complete bullshit. that were a little bit misleading, right? So, hey, is it possible? It's possible. However, the damage is done. Now, maybe other characters come out and do some things to try to set... I mean, look, the Avengers aren't going to be the only people that want to set the universe right again. There are going to be people on thousands of different worlds that just lost their loved ones. So that is certainly a possibility. How far they go into that, I'm not really sure. Remember, Kevin Feige and the Russos also said that, hey, this is going to be different. And when they die, they stay dead. Like in Avengers Infinity, the Avengers 3, and we know that that's not true. So I don't know how much to take them in the word at that, to be honest. It might have just been throwing out possibilities or whatever, but it's possible. It's possible. All right, what's next?
Okay. Kevin Campbell writes, Captain America is 100 years or older in Infinity War. Last recorded age is 95, I think, in Winter Soldier.
Yeah, I guess that would mathematically. I mean, it's just math at this point. It's irrelevant at this point. Him and Bucky are both X number of years old. However old they were, it doesn't really matter because a lot of those years they were just kind of like in cryogenic suspended animation in many different ways. All right, what's next?
All right, Bernard Gayton says, Homecoming 2 without the Iron Spider suit?
I think so, and I certainly hope so. I mean, I really hope they just get back to Spider-Man being Spider-Man. Spider-Man doesn't need an Iron Man Jr. suit. So here's hoping. I suspect they will. I really do. I suspect they will get back to just Spider-Man, which is what I'm hoping for. All right, what's next?
Okay. Jack 121 writes, 2 theories. Post-snap deaths are stuck in Soul World and they are brought back in A4. Or someone gave Thanos a fake Infinity Stone. And the deaths are temporary. It would explain the wrecked Gauntlet after the snap.
I don't think you need that. First of all, I think if it was a fake Infinity Stone, I don't think he has the power to do what he did. I mean, that's a pretty damn great fake Infinity Stone if that's the case. Plus, I think Thanos at that point can probably tell if it's a fake stone or not. So I don't think that's the case. I already explained why I don't think they're just trapped in some kind of soul world. I'll see that as an ultimate cop-out and suck-out if that's the case. As far as it explaining the wrecked Gauntlet, I just think that even the Gauntlet itself, that exertion of power, even for the Infinity Gauntlet with all the stones, wiping out half life in the universe, that probably took its toll, even on the Gauntlet itself. So I don't think you need an external explanation for why the Gauntlet gets wrecked or damaged, as the case may be. Clearly, the Gauntlet still worked because he was able to summon up a space portal and zoom out of there. So it still worked, but damaged. Yeah, I don't think you need an external explanation for how it got damaged. I think it's kind of self-explanatory. But then again, any theory is possible. So let's keep an eye on that. What's next?
Okay, Mary Warren is wondering, chances that Pepper is still alive and pregnant?
I think quite high. I actually really believed for a while before seeing Infinity War, I even made a video about that. I thought Pepper Potts is going to die in this movie. Not as a result of the snap of the fingers, but I thought she was going to like die like probably terribly, and that would become a great motivating factor for Tony. But clearly she lived. I think she's alive, and I think she's pregnant. And yeah, so we'll see. But remember, I think in Avengers 4, we're going to pick up a couple of years later. So I don't think she's pregnant in Infinity War. I think she's going to be pregnant in the next one. Or maybe they already have a child. Maybe she is pregnant in Infinity War, and when we pick up with them in Avengers 4, Tony's going to have a kid. So that's possible. So I think the chances are pretty solid one way or the other. What's next?
Okay. Ali Hussein writes, Russo brothers had done a great job with the characters in Avengers Infinity War. Every character moment shine, and love the scenes with Rocket and Thor.
Yeah, look, we all knew going into the movie that there were too many characters. It was going to be very difficult for any character to get a sufficient amount of time on screen. That was going to happen regardless, no matter who was directing. What the Russos did a great job with is, all that being true, they still found a way to balance out the characters for the most part, and everybody had at least a moment to shine. Whether it was Mantis, putting Thanos under her spell, whether it was Falcon doing his thing, whether it was War Machine doing his thing, whether it was Groot putting Stormbreak together, like every character had a moment at least. And that was a very, very good job on their part to do. All right, what's next?
All right, Helen Maris writes, estimated report, 250 mil opening, 630 worldwide.
And we all know by now the actual final number was 257 opening weekend, 640 worldwide. The worldwide number is irrelevant because, again, every movie opens in a different number of countries every time, so you can't compare apples to apples. So that's irrelevant. The big number to me is the 257 opening weekend, breaking the all-time record. All right, what's next?
All right, Alan Gonzalez writes, Thanos was able to grab each stone except the time stone. It was floating. Yeah,
you know what? I got to watch the movie again and see that, because there is the one time he held up the one stone, but his fingers were kind of around it and it was kind of hovering there. So, he crushed the Tesseract and then it was just sitting there in his palm of his hand, because he's clearly powerful enough being that he can hold an Infinity Stone. Why he wasn't able to just actually touch, or maybe he didn't need to touch the other one. I don't know. I don't know if it means something. I don't know if it means nothing. I don't know if it means everything. It's something we'll have to keep our eyes on as we move forward. All right, what's next?
Joseph Rotoni writes, no, it doesn't make for a good movie, but couldn't Thanos snap his fingers and turn uninhabited star systems into food and other resources? Just saying.
We talked about that in the last, somebody brought up the same thing. Couldn't he have just doubled the resources? I think Thanos probably's philosophy, if he's just doubled the resources, the galaxy would find a way in about a year or two to consume all those resources and to adapt to having a plethora or whatever and just kill itself again anyway. So he probably never saw that as a thing. Also, I'm wondering if just ending half the life in the universe took a whole hell of a lot less power than just doubling resources in the universe. I wonder if that's a totally different thing. And maybe in this universe, that would have taken even more power than the Gauntlet had. It's an interesting question, but I believe there are several loopholes for the MCU to find a way around it to say why. No, he had to kill everybody. All right, what's next?
All right, Olivier Mauhin wrote, Zoe Saldana said a week ago she'll be in A4.
Kevin Feige also said whoever dies in the next Avengers movie stays dead. So what? I mean, so what they said? And look, there is a way she may be in it. It may be flashbacks. It may be visions and dreams, or maybe she's actually back to life. I mean, just because she said it could mean a million different things, and it also could have been misdirection. Because we also saw an Infinity War trailer where the Hulk is running with Captain America. And guess what? That ain't in the movie either. So we don't even know if we can take it seriously. And even if she is telling the truth, it could mean a million different things that don't mean she's back. In some ways, it means she does. So it doesn't mean anything that she said it. All right, what's next?
All right, Koba has a little more to say here. Thor losing his eye didn't even last.
Oh, sure it did. He still lost his real eye. His real eye is gone. They're in a galaxy and in a universe where if you lose a finger, you can get a robotic one. If you lose an eye, you can get a cybernetic one. But he did lose he lost his eye. He lost so badly in his fight to his sister that even though he got out with his life, he lost an eye. The fact that they put in a fake one doesn't change the fact, like somebody dying and bringing them back to life, that means nothing then. But Thor getting his eye ripped out, that didn't change. They didn't undo that. Now he has to walk around with a cybernetic implant, because that's not his eye. So to me, that's not on the same level. That's a little bit different to me. All right, what's next?
Okay. Rough Rosha writes, in Avengers 4, do you think we see Cap versus Red Skull round 2 and stop killing Groot?
Yeah, how many times again, if they find a way to bring Groot back again, no little twigs around this time to plant a new Groot. Please don't kill him again. They've killed him twice. But let's just put it this way. I don't know that they have any plans to use Red Skull anymore. If they do, I'm all for seeing Captain America and Red Skull go at it again. I'm all for it. Red Skull is now significantly more powerful than he was. Captain America is clearly more powerful than he was before too, and also a much better warrior now. It would be great. I would love it if they brought Red Skull back. I would absolutely adore it. I don't know that they will, but I would love it if they did. All right, what's next?
All right. Kevin writes, if Gamora stays dead, Guardians Volume 3 just got very interesting.
Oh, hell yes. Hell yes. It's really interesting. I mean, look, I love Gamora, and I love Zoe Saldana, and I love her in Guardians of the Galaxy. But I am cheering that they keep her dead for the sake of actually having stakes. If you keep bringing back everybody you supposedly kill, that's what kills your stakes. And I've said this before, I will say it again. Going into Avengers Infinity War, there were a bunch of people who are saying, well, you gotta kill people or else there's no stakes. I'm like, that's BS. You don't have to kill people for there to be stakes, all right? Not killing anybody does not ruin stakes. What ruins stakes is killing everybody and then saying, just kidding, and you bring them back. That's what undermines stakes right there. Because it doesn't matter. The worst thing in the world could happen, but it doesn't matter. It has no meaning because it's going to be undone like that. That's what ruins stakes. So as much as I love Zoe Saldana and Gamora and Guardians of the Galaxy, and it broke my heart seeing her die, I don't want her to come back because I don't want them to ruin their stakes. So anyway, that's just my way of thinking, but who knows? All right, what's next?
Alejandro Ortegon writes, I don't think Vision is really dead. To me, Shuri worked on him too long without having any payoff. Maybe she got a backup of his consciousness and can make a copy of him.
I love how, from a movie world, our sense of time, right? She just worked on him too long. She had 15 minutes. She had like maybe an hour, where something, a team of scientists would have taken years to do that. She had too much time, maybe worked on her 150 minutes. I love the way our concept of the way life works is so warped when it comes to watching the movies. Hey, I do. I'm not making fun of you. I'm making fun of all of us because I do it too. We all do it. She's finally got this artificial intelligence, an amalgamation of Jarvis and Banner and Stark, and this magic cosmic infinity stone. First time she's ever touched it. 15 minutes, she got it all figured out. Like, it's just weird that we think of it that way. Look, there are a lot of people who have theories that somehow, some way, Shuri downloaded Vision into some system, which is a possibility. That is a possibility. In the total ludicrous ridiculousness of everything we're talking about, that's one of the more minor ludicrous, ridiculous possibilities, right? Again, to me, it totally devalues any sense of stakes in any MCU moving forward. If even you're going to bring back Gamora and bring back Vision and bring back people who died pre-snap, as well as the people who died post-snap, it just ruins it. I mean, God, you didn't even kill Vision once in Infinity War. You killed him twice. You killed him with Scarlet Witch blowing the stone up, then you killed him with Thanos picking him up and ripping the stone out of his head, and his body going cold and gray. Even the color left his cape, and he drops to the ground, and now he's just a husk. I mean, you killed him twice, and you're going to bring him back again? Really? There are certainly loopholes in which they can do it, but just because you can do it doesn't mean you should do it. And again, my big fear is that they just keep undoing every death. Here's how we're going to undo Gamora's death. Here's how we're going to undo Black Panther's death and Peter's death. Oh, and here's how we undo Vision's death. I mean, then it doesn't matter anymore. There's never any danger moving forward for any of our heroes. Because yeah, even if he runs the gauntlet and gets his head cut off, we know he's going to be back in 5 minutes. They really got to be careful not to do it. I hope they don't. I hope Vision's dead. Not because I don't love Vision. I do, but they killed him twice. You got to leave him dead, or else no deaths moving forward mean anything. All right, what's next?
Okay, Chad Furlong writes, who has fake died? Makes sense Loki fakes. Bucky wasn't Bucky. I would hate if they brought people back all the time too, but Marvel hasn't done it.
Yeah, they have all the time. First of all, they faked that you just brought up Bucky. I never mentioned Bucky, but yeah, Bucky died. Fell off the train, slipped out of Cap's hand, died. Oh no, Bucky's dead. Oh wait, he's not. You know, then let's just go to old Patch Eye there, Nick Fury. Oh no, we watched him in the hospital and we died and oh, it hurt Cap so much and it hurt Scarlet Witch so much and everybody's so sad. Oh, don't worry. Later in the movie, he comes back. You go all the way back just to the first Thor movie. Out in the streets fighting the Destroyer and he's, oh, Thor's dead in the street and everybody's now weeping over him. He's dead. Oh, wait, no, he's not. Because here comes the lightning and here comes, oh, he's alive. Oh no, Cap drowned. Oh no. And the sad music plays as Cap falls to the bottom of the thing. Oh, don't worry about it. In a second now, Bucky's hand's going to come in and pull him out. They have done it. And then multiple times with Loki. They have done it over and 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 over again. To some degree or another, they've just done it a ton of times. And it wasn't until Quicksilver, it wasn't until Age of Ultron that they finally killed off one of the big characters and actually had it stick. Whether or not the Warriors 3, but then again, they killed off the Warriors 3 without them even getting a word of dialogue into the movie. Except for, what was it Volstagg said? Who are you? Was that like the one?
Something very close.
Yeah, something.
Well, the one who, I can't think of his name now. I'm drawing a blank, but he was surrounding her in that court. And he died.
Hogan. Yeah.
He had some
Hogan,
words,
yeah. He had a couple lines. That's right. Go back to where you came from. Yeah. Or whatever it was. Yeah, that's right. So Volstagg had the one line. The dashing played by Captain Marvel, the Zach. Why am I forgetting Zach?
Chuck.
Why am I forgetting his name?
Eli. Zach.
Why am I forgetting his name all of a sudden? I've been saying Zach Levi.
Levi. I said Eli.
Zachary Levi.
Yeah.
Zachary Levi. Not a single line. His role in the movie was to stand there, look confused for a second, then take a spear to the chest. Mm-hmm. I mean, so there was that. But I mean, this whole thing, Marvel has, dude, in almost every movie they've done. In almost every movie they've done, they've pulled that. And here we go again, only on the biggest, grandest scale they've ever done. Now, again, I'm not writing it all off because I'm trusting the Russos. I'm trusting Kevin Feige that they got a plan that's going to wow us. That's going to make everything make sense and wow us and not undermine the sense of stakes in MCU movies moving forward. I'm just saying some of the theories I'm hearing, I'm just saying if that theory is their plan, then it totally undermines stakes moving forward. And maybe that's what they're going to do, but it's going to come with a price. It's going to come with a consequence. All right, what's next?
All right, only way a Vision revival works for me. They can rebuild him, but he'll be a heartless machine with no love for Scarlet. His death would actually matter. Fake death works if consequential.
Yeah, no, hey, look, building another Vision, then that's kind of like the Thor eye situation to me. No, Vision really died. Just because they build another thing that looks just like him based on the same principles of Vision, but it's still not the one that Scarlet Witch fell in love with or anything like that. Yeah, it looks the same, but it's a different dude. I'm okay with that. That I would be fine with because like I said, it's the same scenario as Thor with the eye. Yeah, they put in a fake cybernetic eye, but it's not his eye. The consequences of his confrontation with Hela still stand. He lost his actual eye. It got ripped out of his head. And sure, they put in a cosmetic, cybernetic one that gives him vision in the eye. That's great, but it's not actually that. If they did that with Vision, the one who complains about the fake killing the most, I would be okay with that. That would be fine to me. So I like your theory there. All right, what's next?
Zach Remsburg writes, the Tony Pepper scene talking about a kid killed me even more after because Tony watched his only kid, Peter, die, and his face and emotions ruined me.
Here's the thing. I think they overplay. I think people are overestimating the connection between Peter and Tony. Peter clearly looks up to Tony. He's a hero of his, sure. Obviously, Tony believes in this kid, but they've met what? 5 times? He met him in his apartment in Civil War and talked him into coming to Germany. Great. He had one face-to-face with them in the Spider-Man movie to ream him out, and then one more face-to-face with him at the end of the movie to congratulate him. And then he meets him again in the park as the fight with with Ma and I forget the name of the giant one, the giant Black Order dude. I can't remember why I'm forgetting his name, but anyway. But then the fans say, "Oh, that's like his child." I don't know about that. Like they really have not had that much time together. Peter looks at him as a hero for sure, and I think he's got some connection, some emotional attachment to the kid. But I don't know that he sees him as his son. If it is, they certainly haven't developed that well on screen. But but you're right. Them talking about children, that was a great scene. I love that scene. You know, I actually had a friend of mine mention in a movie that felt so rushed, and it had to because there's so much that had to happen and so many characters to do it. My friend wondered, did they really need that screen time with Tony and Pepper? And I'm like, yeah. I thought that was a great establishing scene, giving us, in that one quick conversation between Tony and Pepper, we get a sense of where Tony's headspace is at right now. The fact that he's thinking about the future with him and Pepper. And I think that's going to come into play later. So I actually really like that scene, and I think it was valuable. All right, what's next?
Alex James wonders, I think Thanos had the most difficult decision to make with Gamora. Do you think Cap will get his time to shine in A4? One final, I can do this all day. Well,
I'm one of these people, I don't buy into the theory that he necessarily dies in Avengers 4. Everybody thought in Avengers 3, Iron Man and Captain America are going to die. I'm like, no, I don't think so. Everybody's been calling Captain America's going to die for tons of films now. Going into Civil War, everybody's like, Captain America's going to die in Civil War. No, he's not. Well, in the comic book, he did. I don't care. He's not going to die in Civil War. And then everybody's going to say he's going to die in Avengers Infinity War. It's like, no, he's not. And I didn't think Tony was going to either. But now everybody's 100% convinced he's going to die in Avengers 4 now. I still don't think so. I still don't think he does. And it's like, well, yeah, but Chris Evans' contract is expiring. Lots of people have had their contracts expire and then renew them. Look at Robert Downey Jr. His contract expired, and yet here he is. They just signed another one. And even if they don't get a new contract done with Chris Evans right now, then it doesn't mean they have to kill Captain America. They can just say, Captain America decides, I need to go off for a while. And he leaves, becomes nomad, and leaves. That just leaves the door open that if they want to bring him back later, they can or they can't. But the bottom line is, I don't think he dies. I said I don't think he's going to die in Civil War. He didn't. I said I don't think he's going to die in Infinity War. He doesn't. I still don't think he's going to die in Avengers 4. But maybe he will. Totally could. But I don't think he will. Again, I forgot to reset my camera. Sorry, guys. But yeah, there we go on that. All right, what's next?
All right. P. Najiroy writes, anyone else upset that the black guy dies first in Infinity War? And most of the dramatic moments of the film were killed with jokes. Death by dust like Phoenix and Last Stand. Just disappearing would be best.
Well, first of all, there were a whole hell of a lot of people dying and dead before Heimdall died. As a matter of fact, before Heimdall dies, we see, oh my gosh, I'm forgetting the name of all the Black Order guys. But the one evil elf-looking dude, we see him with an Asgardian on the ground going, oh, and him just going up and just like going around and killing. As Ebony Maw is walking around giving his speech, rejoice for this, you are all becoming children of Thanos, yada, yada, yada. And then Heimdall died later. Heimdall, I mean, the reality is Heimdall wasn't a black dude. He was, I'm not even 100% he was an Asgardian. He was an alien being of supreme power. I don't think his race was African-American, although he looked African-American for sure. Any more than I think that Thanos, or not Thanos, but Thor is a Caucasian. He looks like a Caucasian, but he is a Norwegian god from the planet of Asgard. I mean, so it's kind of like Superman. Superman ain't white or black. Superman's Kryptonian. Anyway, but even then, he wasn't really the first guy to die in the movie. He was the first significant character to die, but it was very, very quickly after that Loki died too. So I didn't think anything about that to be whatsoever. I wasn't thinking about the race of any of the characters as they died, to be quite frank with you. So let's see, what else you say there? And the most dramatic moments of the film were killed with jokes. Oh, I disagree. I think the jokes and the humor brought balance to those moments than anything else. Remember, you're still watching a movie. It's still a piece of entertainment. And I thought I never felt once that any heavy moment was then killed by a moment of humor. I thought moments of humor accented the heavier moments in the film. And I thought it worked great. And by watching the reaction of the audience around me, it did work great. Now, maybe it didn't work great for you. I get it. And maybe for you, it had that effect. But I think for the vast majority of people, the moments of humor were there to balance out and to accentuate the heavier moments of the film. I thought it was done very well. Really good balance, I thought personally. But that's just me. All right, what's next?
Joshua Benitez writes, if the death before the snap means they're actually dead, Gamora won't be in Guardians 3, which James Gunn is currently writing. Sad face.
I mean, that's the consequence of a character dying. If a character dies, they're not in anything else moving forward. I mean, so yes, I mean, I agree. It would be tough. It would be weird, but it does create some interesting storytelling possibilities. Where do we find Peter Quill in the after? How does the death of Gamora, how's that going to affect the internal stuff for Peter Quill moving forward, or the rest of the Guardians for that matter? I mean, that's assuming that Drax and Mantis and them even come back, or Groot even come back. Maybe, or that Peter even comes back. Maybe the Guardians of the Galaxy is a brand new team. It's Rocket, it's Thor, it's Nova, and maybe, why am I forgetting the name of the dog? The Sputnik space, what's the name of the dog? I love the dog in Guardians of the Galaxy. I'm forgetting his name. Anyway, so who knows? Maybe it could be an entirely different team, or maybe it's just without Gamora, or maybe they pull a cheap shot and they bring Gamora back. Who knows? Lots of interesting possibilities, though. I swear, I wish I could plant a bug in James Gunn's writing office right now and find out what he's doing with that movie right now. That'd be great. All right, it's next.
Okay. Rob McDonald writes, Thor says half of my people are dead. Do you think Valkyrie and Korg got away with half of the Asgardians off screen?
Yes, absolutely I do. Because you saw amongst the bodies, remember, there was a team of gladiators with Korg and Meek. There was that one dude with the weird looking mask on. He's one of the dead bodies we see on the ship when the movie begins. So he's dead. But we don't see Korg anywhere. We don't see Meek. We don't see Valkyrie. Half the Asgardians had to get away somehow. And I think they played a key role in getting the rest of them away. So yes, I do believe they got away on the rest, on either half of the ship or some big escaped life raft thing with the half of the Asgardians. And Thanos probably said, let them go, because they're not the ones with the stone. And his mandate was to kill half the people, not kill all of them. So yeah, I think they got away. All right, what's next?
All right, Koba. Abomination gave Hulk a bigger beating. Hulk got angrier and beat him. That is what Hulk does.
Yeah, but Abomination didn't put him down. Thanos put him down and just ended him to the point that he couldn't move or react anymore. That's something Abomination didn't do. Abomination was fighting and even had the edge on Hulk, but he didn't straight up bitch him. He didn't, it wasn't to the point that he didn't beat down Hulk to the point that Hulk couldn't even move anymore, that he was done. Thanos did that. Now, of course, Thanos was wearing an Infinity Gauntlet with the Power Infinity Stone in it. And some people try to see me, oh, but John, he didn't use the Power Stone. Yes, he did. Remember, when he's wearing that glove and he drops the second stone into it, what happened? It was like the Highlander quickening. He dropped stone in and because all that rushed into him. It changed Thanos. It wasn't just some weapon on his hand that he could wield. It empowered him. That's why when he dropped the stone in, he had that big surge and rush of power. He was a being with the power, with this stone that if it even touches the surface of a planet, will destroy that planet. That power was now coursing through him. And that's how he beat Hulk. I don't think Thanos beats Hulk without that stone. But he did beat him. He beat him pretty handily, and he beat him worse than Abomination did. All right, what's next?
Joseph Ferrala writes, well, when Thanos says no resurrections this time, he's pretty much breaking the fourth wall and talking to the audience. Also, Reality Stone powers are so cool. The Reality Stone power is also cool. And we kind of mentioned in part 3 of this thing that I believe that when Thanos said that, it wasn't even Thanos breaking fourth wall. I thought it was Kevin Feige breaking fourth wall. Because Kevin Feige has heard people like me bitch and moan and complain that, hey, look, all the fake deaths, all the fake deaths, all the fake deaths. I believe that was Kevin Feige speaking through his mouthpiece of Thanos to the audience saying,
look, no resurrections this time, okay? If he's dead, he's dead. And I think that was Kevin Feige talking to the audience. So yeah, it was a little bit of fourth wall breaking. All right, what's next?
Clock Penalty writes, Nakia was a challenger in Black Panther. Wakanda allows queens.
Nakia. Well, she wasn't a challenger. When did she challenge? When did Lupita Nyong'o challenge? Like, there was a moment that the Queen Mother wanted her to take the heart-shaped herb just so she can go and fight, but there was nothing about her taking the throne. Nakia wasn't a challenger. Can you think, am I missing something, Jonathan? I don't ever remember them even referencing her.
No, as a matter of fact, she left. I mean,
the Queen Mother did say, hey, you take the heart-shaped herb and go fight him.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that was really just to fight him, take him down, replace him as Black Panther maybe. But there was never any mention of her assuming the throne at that point.
I don't even know if she had a right to it. I mean, did she come from a royal lineage? I can't remember.
I think she came from royal lineage.
Okay.
I think she did. But I don't know. I mean, it's possible, but I don't see it that way. So again, maybe they do, but I didn't see or hear anything in the movie that suggested that she could take the throne because, look, there was a queen, right? Like, T'Challa's mother was the queen. Like, why didn't it go to her? Or if T'Challa dies, wasn't it go to the Queen Mother? Or just immediately to T'Challa's sister? That's not the system they have. The system they have, it's got to be one in combat. It's weird. So, look, there's a lot about the whole Wakandan hierarchy and royal lineage and monarchy stuff that I don't understand how it works. That they didn't make it very clear in the movie, but who knows? Who knows? Maybe they do. All right, what's next?
All right. Ben writes, why did Hulk affected Surtur, yet defeated easily by Surtur? Hulk seemed to fare better against Thanos, still beat down easily. Now he has Hulk-esque PTSD. Why the difference?
Surtur didn't beat him. I've had a few people say that to me. It's like, hey, Surtur beat Hulky. Surtur didn't beat him. Surtur got a shot in. Hulk got in one shot. Surtur got in one shot. But Surtur flicked, like, first of all, Hulk took his shot on Surtur and it boom, like Surtur was like, whoa. Now he came back and he hit Hulk and Hulk goes flying. Hulk was not out. Hulk was still itching to get right back in there and get on his face again. And Thor had to hold him back and saying like, no, he needs to do this. We need Surtur to do this. He's got to stop. And Hulk's, but big monster. Like Hulk's like, don't hold me back. I want to go kill this thing. And Thor's like, no. We need you not to do that, Hulk. Don't smash. So no, it was a very different situation with Surtur. It was a very different situation. Like with Thanos, he beat him down to the point that he was incapacitated and couldn't move anymore. Surtur got in a shot and knocked Hulk flying, sure. But Hulk was like, I'm going to come and fuck you up. Like Hulk was like, I want at him, and Thor had to hold him back. So yeah, it was a very, very different scenario. Now, what would have happened if Thor didn't hold back Hulk? I don't know. Maybe Surtur does beat him. Maybe he doesn't beat him. I mean, I don't know. The point here is that it was a very different situation, a very different set of circumstances than what we saw when he fought Thanos. All right, what's next?
All right, Celtic Luke 19 writes, a way they could do Hulk payoff is if Widow dies.
I mean, yeah, we've talked about that before too. Other people have mentioned this, like maybe the thing that will get Hulk to forget everything else, get him to that level of rage. Not fear, because that's what Banner's been trying to use to get Hulk to come out is fear. But to get him to that level of rage that busts Hulk out and gets us a Hulk to a level that we've never seen him before. Right now, the way they got the movie set up is that could be the death of Black Widow. Or the threat of death to Black Widow. That would drive Banner, the anger level in Banner, to anger levels we've never seen Banner at before, which might be enough to trigger the Hulk to come out and get Hulk to an anger level that we've never seen him before. I mean, so that's all possible as well, too. So, well, I mean, I like the idea. We'll have to just wait and see. All right, what's next?
Jordo Ingo writes, could Arsenal defeat Thanos? Fury said Tony's father was working on something big, a robot that's able to contain all the stones power would or Power Stones would be cool.
I don't think so. And I don't think that's what he was referring to either. I thought the implications was something completely different. But even then you'd have to, there aren't duplicates of all the stones, right? So you'd have to have Thanos lose the stones and somebody else get the stones. And then that changes things a little bit. But just as things stand now, I don't think he could. All right, what's next?
Okay. Trent Stewart writes, Marvel truth, make Cap as strong as he needs to be, make Hulk as weak as he needs to be.
I don't know. If Cap was as strong as he needed to be, he would have beat Thanos. If Captain America was as strong as he needed to be, then Thanos wouldn't have put him down with one punch. I mean, they showed off the strength of Captain America and the courage and the nobility of Captain America standing face to face with Thanos and holding him off for a moment. But then ultimately, Thanos then just cranks out the right and gives him a right overhand to the chin, and that put him down. So I wouldn't say they made him as powerful as they needed to be. Also, the only thing Hulk lost against was Thanos with an Infinity Stone gauntlet. I don't know that that's making him weak. That's a pretty big thing. So I don't know. I don't know if I concur. I can see where you're coming from, but I don't know that I concur. I'd have to think about it a little bit more. It's an interesting thought. I just don't know that I'm there with you yet on that. Okay, what's next?
Okay. Rory Brown writes, the way Peter reacted to the death of Gamora reminds me of when Ego killed his mom.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. A lot of people putting it in there. And again, it was people saying that this is a great example of the consistency that they've written into the character of Peter Quill. That the reactions are consistent. That's why his actions in Infinity War were completely consistent with this character. So yeah, I completely agree with you on that. Absolutely. Good observation. What's next?
Ballad Media Group writes, love the aliens reference in Ebony Maw's death.
Yeah.
Also love the exact shot recreation of Maw floating through space, just as the Xenomorph Queen died.
Yeah, I mean, you know what's prevented me from loving that scene more? It was the fact that I loved that Ebony Maw character. I loved him. And I was, while it was an awesome homage to aliens, and while it was awesome the way they got him, I was kind of bummed that they got him. Like, I like that character. I liked him a lot. All right, what's next?
Jay Gauthier writes, I agree the deaths before Thanos Purge are permanent, but I have a hard time believing Gunn will let go of Zoe Saldana. Do you think Gamora will return in Avengers 4 or wait until Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3?
Well, I mean, look, ultimately the bottom line is it's not James Gunn's call. It's not his decision. It's Kevin Feige's. So, and then that's true of every one of these movies. That's true of the Avengers movies. It's true of the Doctor Strange movie. It's true of the Ant-Man movie. It's true of the Captain Marvel movie. It's true of them all. Ultimately, Kevin Feige's in charge. And he gives his filmmakers a lot of leeway. But what Kevin Feige does is he sets up parameters for them. It's like, look, here's where I'm going with my overall MCU story. So don't go outside this, don't go outside this, don't go outside this. He creates kind of a big box, right? And says, now play in that box all you want. Just be mindful of the restrictions that I've set up. Would Gunn love to still have Gamora? Yes. Will Kevin Feige let him have Gamora? Again, it's unsure. I kind of hope he doesn't, because it undermines the great impact of that scene in the movie. But he may. He absolutely may. So we'll have to wait and see. All right, what's next?
Bryant Brawler writes, I think they will use the BARF system from Ultron to travel through time. It's the invention Tony came up with in the Age of Ultron.
I still think it's a quantum realm thing. Look, it's not a bad theory. It's a little bit of a deep cut, but I still think it's the quantum realm stuff I think that's going to be their key. I'm still that's the one I really strongly suspect. So I'm still going to stick with that one. Okay, what's next?
Okay, Michael Brito asks, if Ant-Man and the Wasp is in the past, by the time the movie ends, will it catch up to the present and have one of them disappear?
Oh yeah, that's kind of like the working theory for a lot of people. And I brought up on a video the other day was basically this. The question is, do they catch up to the point where the aliens arrive? Because once the aliens arrive, why aren't they going to New York to help out the Avengers? I mean, once it goes on the news that this huge alien ship arrived and Tony Stark as Iron Man was fighting them in the streets and then disappeared, and blah, is that where the movie ends? Or does it carry through another 12 hours, 24 hours, however long we said the movie actually ended up being? to the point of the dusting and then it ends there? That's the question. Because you got to have an explanation of, okay, well, what happens to Ant-Man and Wasp just when they see that a huge alien ship has attacked New York City? And why didn't they get involved at that point? For them to get to the dusting part, you got to explain that. So whether it ends there or whether it ends there, that's the big question mark. I think it's close. If I had to put $5 on it, I think it ends with them looking at a TV and seeing a giant spaceship in New York City. I think that's where it ends, maybe. But there's a strong argument to be made that it ends with one of them dusting as well. So again, we'll have to wait and see. All right, what's next?
JB1411 writes, what future do you think Strange saw that made him sacrifice the stone to keep Tony alive? And Tom Holland showed some range in his death scene.
Yeah, I mean, it was one quick scene with really one great line. I don't want to go. I don't want to. But it was played beautifully. I don't want to oversell it, but it was played very, very well. I thought it was great. And I'm a big fan of Tom Holland already. So there's that. Again, I suspect right now it's a future that everybody dies, but that motivates them. If it happens this way, these people will still be alive. And then 3 years from now, they'll organize and find this thing out. Hank Pym gets involved, quantum realm, time travel, go back, stop Thanos before it happens by doing something. I'm not sure what. Whether that involves Captain Marvel or not, I'm not sure at this point, or how it involves her, I'm not sure. But that's our best guess right now. But it's a guess completely out of context, and I'm probably way wrong. So let's see how that turns out. What's next?
All right. Jonathan Gillen Ross writes, Thanos, best CGI character ever.
Best CGI villain ever. But even then, you got to... Best CGI villain in a comic book movie ever, absolutely. But overall character, remember, like, there's a couple of other guys who would love to have a conversation with you about that. One guy's name is Gollum. Another guy's name is Caesar from the Planet of the Apes movies. Caesar, before this movie, I would have said Caesar's probably the best CGI character we've ever had because he is the lead character of those movies. He looks so damn real. It's crazy freaky. And then, of course, there's Gollum, the character that made us all believe these CGI characters can work and can be the main pieces of a movie. I mean, so what I will easily say is that Thanos is the best CGI villain in a comic book movie of all time. Where I believe we still need to have some discussion and need a little time to pass is best CGI villain ever because there's Gollum, or best CGI character ever because there's Caesar. And those are tall orders because those are two great characters. And I believe that we still have to have a discussion about that. But I will go so far as to say best comic book CGI villain ever. I'll go so far as to say that. The rest is still up for debate, I think. All right, what's next?
Jeremiah J. Hashtag Thanos Hot Toy Fund.
Oh my God, Ann said I can have one and I'm going to order one. I'm going to order one. And then I'll make a whole video just about me unboxing it and showing it to you guys for sure. All right, what's next?
Edward Bidor. I guess Rocket isn't getting them that arm after all.
Oh, I'm getting that arm. Still my favorite line of the movie, but yep, it got dusted. So unless he's going to sweep it up and try to rehydrate it or something a la Star Trek, I don't see that happening. All right, we've already gone we're into an hour and 10 minutes, or almost an hour and 15 minutes now. So we'll go one more question today. What's the last question today?
Zachary Zarvos writes, just joined on my break at work right now. Got to see Infinity War last night in Prime.
Nice.
Did you get to hear any reactions from the actors last Monday?
No, I didn't, as a matter of fact. I saw that there were some interviews with them after they saw it, because at the premiere, the Russo brothers said, you are the first audience to watch this movie. And believe it or not, this is going to be the first time the actors get to see the movie. And I believe them, but I have not paid any attention to hear what the reactions were. I should look them up, though, because I'd be curious to know what their reactions are. All right, guys, that will do it for part 4. Oh, my goodness. Part 4 of our Avengers Infinity War spoiler discussion. We've got at least 2 more parts to go. So part 5 will probably come up tomorrow, the next day. Part 6, again, probably sometime over the weekend, you'll get part 6. But this has been a lot of fun. I continue to enjoy doing these things, and I'm sure you do too. I want to thank, once again, joining me here, Jonathan Voytok. Jonathan, where can people find you online?
You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Sonic if you want it.
And you guys can simply follow me on Twitter, just at John Campea. All right, guys, that'll do it for us for right now. I'm going to go watch Avengers Infinity War again a little bit later, I think. Thanks for joining me. My name is John Campea, and until our next video, bye-bye.